Hello, this is Jim Morantz, and welcome to this quarterly Earthquake Clearinghouse technology call. The call originated years ago with the California Earthquake Clearinghouse, and working with them, a group of us created a wide variety of technologies for information sharing. Now that Ann Rosinski has moved on to the Federal Emergency Management Agency, we are recasting this call to be a all-state earthquake clearinghouse use of the technologies that were created in California. And we hope you will join us into the future in learning more about the technologies. Today, we're going to take a look at those technologies that were developed for the Earthquake Clearinghouse and how they are being used in coronavirus. The technology on the left-hand side is my phone. And this is what was created with the California Earthquake Clearinghouse. And I'm just going to run through this very briefly because we can focus on it in subsequent sessions. But this is now freely available to any earthquake clearinghouse. So I want to give you a couple of features. And let's start out with people. First of all, my status. Touch that. And here are a set of status. I'm available to come to work, or I'm going to have a delayed arrival. I'm not available, and these words are changed by whoever ends up being the administrator of this. And simply by clicking on that, everyone knows that I, as a clearinghouse member, whether it's a scientist or engineer or other participant, is not available. And when we take a look at where we learn about this, it's back here on this status map. The status map allows us to be able to show areas, and in particular, this is me, and I can click up there and you see that my status is a delayed arrival. Others see this as well. The first thing about the app is that it's for people. So we know where people are located. We know their capabilities. We built an extensive personnel profile that's associated with every person who's a member of the clearinghouse. And it was patterned after a volunteer, FEMA volunteer program, I believe is how Ann described it to me. And all the information contained in that program is stored back here for each of the individuals, should you choose to do that. So you have people. We know their locations as soon as somebody logs into the app, their location is tracked. When they log out, we stop tracking. So no personal interference or anything. And this then allows one to be able to collect information about the people, their locations, and where they are, and what they're seeing and doing. So the first part is people. The second part is on this status map. Those of you who are clearinghouse members will recall, the U.S. Geological Survey built something called Field Notes, and it's been used in a couple of other places. Well, in this new version of the Clearinghouse app, we have all of the Field Note forms here. So let's click on liquefaction, which is one of the few that I really know about a little bit. And here we see I can come in here and get a list of different types of emergencies. And again, all these created by the Clearinghouse. And as this evolves into other states, you can create your own list. And here I'm going to take a liquefaction with an imminent threat. And I can describe the site over here, which is going to be a schoolhouse. Let's call it that. Number of effects here, we're going to have no sand blows, but we will have some ground settlement and some lateral spreading. Over here I have displacement. The displacement's going to be 1 and 1, just for one of better numbers. And then you can add some notes and a location. Location has an interesting feature that those of you who are familiar with earlier versions of this app are going to find interesting, and that is the ability to add areas. If I click on a shape there, and what I have is the ability to come in here and let's pick let me zoom in here a little bit. Let's take a line and I'm going to indicate where this fault was. Let's just say, obviously, we're not going to have a fault that's going to be quite this big, hopefully. But there is my line. And since we picked that as a imminent danger, let's make that a red for liquefaction, and let's save that. And now we're going to save that report. And what we're going to end up with, as we come back here, is we see the line, if we zoom in here a little bit, that was just drawn. And that line is represented both in this list down here, as well as by that schoolhouse. Remember we said we had a schoolhouse, so we've got a little icon there showing that schoolhouse. Liquefaction imminent, description of this is a schoolhouse, and it allows us to be able to pass that information. Now, where's that information going? Well, it's going to all other members reading spot on response, and as we see in a little bit, it's going to be shared out through the Sabre Exchange Core Information Sharing Program to other applications that will have this same information on it. Let's go back to the home for a second and show you one more feature. That is the spot report. And on spot report, we have a number of levels. It can be just a plain old report. It could be something that everyone should watch. Could be a limited functionality, or it could be a road or other feature that was actually closed. Let's do a watch here. I can add my descriptive of a problem. Other information about the level of accuracy or level of incident that's going on. But what I really want to focus on is the add media, because here we can now add information from a document that might be on my phone or on my computer. And I should note, most of this operates on a computer as well as on the mobile device, but also my camera. So right here, I've got my camera, and this is now my phone right here that I'm picking up, and we can see that that's my screen. I click and I say, yes, we want to do that. And it's going to be over there like that. We're going to say, okay, we're going to have, that becomes part of my record. And we now have another item associated with that particular incident, spot report. This is going to certainly be propagated. I'm going to cancel that because it will be propagated out to all of the other users. So in summary, we start with people, my status, where they are, what their capabilities are, what their availability is to participate. Secondly, we go to the status map. And on the status map, we record all the information that those people begin to field and provide into us to give us the information that we need to know about that earthquake. And then thirdly, spot reports, very quick way to click, take pictures. And when I say pictures, those of you who are part of the old clearinghouse, the question always was, can I take more than one picture? Now you can take hundreds of pictures if you want. All of them geolocated, associated with the specific area of the incident and the place where you are reporting. So that's a real quick look at some of the increases in capabilities that exist now for those technologies that were developed for the California Earthquake Clearinghouse and now are available to all emergency or earthquake clearinghouses. And when I say available, I mean free. Everything that we built for California Earthquake Clearinghouse, we had promised to make available to them. And now that there are multiple state clearinghouses, this is a resource that you can have at no cost whatsoever. So with that in mind, let's come and take a look at a little bit more about the second part of this discussion. That's something called SABER. And I don't know whether everybody knows about SABER, but SABER is a nonprofit organization that was created to try to support the business community by helping get information about business disruptions to governments in an accurate and timely fashion so that that information can become part of the decision process of government. Founded by an organizing group that included Walmart and Walgreens and Target, and you say all of them up there. Very impressive and powerful group that helped direct the development of this, along with the Florida Division of Emergency Management that was really one of the originators of the requirement. All that came together to do two things. First, to influence government recovery priorities. And secondly, to enable business-to-business collaboration. So let's take that first one, influence government recovery priorities. Isn't that exactly what a clearinghouse does in an emergency? You are using your scientific observations to try and provide information that allow governments to make better decisions about recoveries. So you see the parallel there between the original technology done for Earthquake Clearinghouse and how it has evolved into SABER. Why do we do that? And how do we do that? Accurate information, timely business status information, with the purpose of being helping the businesses to stay open longer, to get back in business faster. Again, the parallel to the clearinghouse, your scientific and technical information designed to identify those areas that cannot be restored and reopened, those areas that need priority assistance in order to get reopened, again, businesses, schools, hospitals, all the rest of it, and those that are not affected. So the ultimate purpose of the information collected in the clearinghouse and that which is processed through SABER with its particular focus on business, the goals are the same. SABER. Our members support FEMA's Lifelines process, particularly focusing on food, water, shelter, energy, and health and medical. Our members are in the food, the fuel, the pharmaceutical, some hotels, home repair, water. All those that are really delivering the services to people are the members that support SABER and who share their information on their business status during an emergency through SABER. Just to let you know, SABER is legitimate. Won awards, 2017 FEMA's Individual and Community Preparedness Award for Technology Innovation, 2018 International Association of Emergency Managers Public Awareness Award. Last year, one of 3 finalists for the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Citizens Award for Best Disaster Preparedness and Community Resilience Program. So we have a track record that has been recognized by various organizations. So very briefly, how does this whole thing work? There's a first step is, in the center is information exchange. Exchange Corps, Department of Homeland Security, created software that a team that I was responsible for led the development of. That connects to automated systems to get instantaneous status about business opening and closing. The second way is spreadsheets. Simple spreadsheet. We build that so that a company can go into saberspace.org, put their username and password in, and provide their business status. Third way, the Spot On Response mobile app. What you just saw connects right into SABER. And as we'll see, it connects into SABER not just for spot reports and earthquake management information, but for information that we're now seeing is available and important for coronavirus. When that information gets into Exchange Corps, the SABER information sharing format, it gets transformed into National Information Exchange Model compliant formats and gets distributed in all sorts of formats so that on the receiving end, virtually everything can read that SABER data, whether it's a government website or an incident management application, or it's ArcGIS or ArcGIS Online or mobile apps, or even my favorite, a free copy of Google Earth. All of those can consume any of the formats that come out of SABER, and thus make it most important point here, see SABER data, business status data, earthquake data in your own application. SABER never says, hey, stop looking at what is important to you right now and go over here and look at this other screen because we have some business information. That business information gets put right in with the rest of your information as a layer of important information that can be seen and analyzed in the context of everything else that is going on. And we've done this a lot. Exercises, real emergencies, hurricane there on the Florida Common Operating Picture, another hurricane in the Georgia Emergency Management, a beautiful implementation there. FEMA's analytics out of their National Business Emergency Operations Center. Down at the bottom, the FEMA and the state WBOCs. Information from SABER goes into places and is successfully implemented during real emergencies. So how does that play into COVID-19? Well, first of all, SABER members are essential businesses. About 250,000 businesses provide FEMA Lifeline services, which are now points of information inside of SABER. They are increasingly, as we'll see in a minute, gathering that information to identify what's going on at that business. And those businesses are critical, collectively selling 80% of the gas. Virtually every place you buy food is part of those 250,000 locations. They're bringing well over half of the bottled water, a third of the ATMs, and lots of people and lots of sales. So what are we focusing on? Well, traditionally, SABER focused on open-close status. But it became very clear that our important contribution now is why they are open. So we've identified what we're calling pandemic practices. Businesses follow to stay in business safely. And the goal of what we're doing is to help identify and share between business and government those tangible measures that stores are taking to meet the recommendations of industry professionals and CDC and World Health Organization. We'll talk about those tangible measures in a minute, but by knowing them, we believe that we can increase the number of businesses that adhere to social distancing and other safe operating practices. That will then help businesses serve as agents for using these prescribed methods for driving down infection rates. And it allows businesses to then stand up and be a critical factor in reopening the country to commerce, because businesses can say, look what we are doing to prevent a second wave or prevent infection. So for all those reasons, we believe that what we're collecting in SABER becomes critically important. Here's a list of lots of the things that we are monitoring in SABER, and these are the things that businesses are doing, tangible things. Give employees sick leave, doing enhanced cleaning and sterilization, limiting the number of the customers in store, providing disinfecting wipes. These are drawn from the businesses themselves, from practical recommendations from a variety of different organizations. As recently as Monday, FEMA came out with some more best practices. And these evolve. They will grow and continue to grow. What do we do with them? Well, we map them. Everybody maps them. Again, we're doing this on SABER, but at no cost, providing the data output to governments to be able to put into their own software. And as this evolves, we are going to be able to use this information to drive home the value of collecting, processing, and sharing information, which will be important not only now, but in every emergency to follow. So let's take a look at this a little. You've seen on the left-hand side, you've seen the app. One of the things that we have done is build the ability for a company to come in and say, hey, you know what? I am Arco, or I'm Birdie's Food and Fuel. I have 5 stores in X place. I can select those. I'm going to tell you that I have these 5 stores. I'm going to put in an email, and I'm now going to say we're doing delivery and curbside pickup. We are, of course, handing out disinfectant wipes. We've got some child care option, seating changes, employee temperature. We're going to provide that. So you do these things, and Birdie's up there. Was that Birdie's? Yeah, Birdie's Food and Fuel. Can answer a few other things, identify whether they have some priority needs or problems with employees or supply of commodities. Can self-certify whether they are following the guidelines set up by CDC and the Occupational Health and Safety Administration, and then tell us who they are to validate that information. And we validate the people before the information is added. So with one pass here, a company that has never seen Sabre before can that quickly go in and propose either a brand new site that we've never heard of, which they would do by entering in here in the company name, or if they are a chain as big as Chevron Extra Mile with its 6,000 stores, I think it is, with one set of changes here, they can go in and provide this initial information or update their information. So that tool set is now available to drive information into Sabre from individual companies that have a single store down in the corner, a bodega sitting down there, as well as bigger companies that can come in and do that very, very easily. Where does that take us then? Well, it takes us to having the data. And here, this is the Sabre map. And same thing, if I have a brand, I can come in here and look at my brand information and pull that information out. I'm going to be Associated Grocers right now. And what I want to do is only pick out a little piece of Associated Grocers down here and see whether there are any Associated Grocers in there. And let's even go a little narrower down here in this area. And hopefully we do have some Associated Grocers there. And how about if we click on that? And in fact, yep, we got some of them down there. So I could find Associated Grocers. I can go back in here and let's do the same thing this time. What I want to do is lay out the information to have both 7-Eleven, Associated Grocers, or it doesn't matter. I'm going to come in here and let's grab a piece of this area over. Let's grab someplace in California, and we'll find out what's in here, which I do by coming in there, drawing a little. Whoop, there we go. Yeah. Find out this is my congressional district or whatever it is. Who's in here? Well, we got some 7-Elevens. We got a couple of other folks. Right now, 7-Eleven has lots of information on here. I get the information. That's a Valero Energy. And there's a 7-Eleven. And we see that that Valero Energy, they are doing social distancing. They're doing extra enhanced cleaning and sterilization. They have paid employee leave. They have employee work, remote work. 7-Eleven, we've got many more things that they're doing, changing their business hours, employee sick leave, contactless payments, changes to prepared food. So all those things that we saw back there in that list are now apparent to those who are looking at this area. And as well, I can go in and do some searching. I can find out all the people who are limiting the purchase quantities on some goods and search that and pull the information in. Again, that's what we're doing here on the Sabre map. The key, though, is that the data is what you want to think about. And that data is then available. And here I have pulled this. FEMA publishes the Sabre data as a ArcGIS Online feature layer as Sabre Business Disruption Status. And here we see, clicked out here in California, Sabre Business, there's a Macy's department store I come on down here, we're going to find out that Macy's is closed somewhere in here. It has all that information. And if I look at some more, what do we have here? We got another Macy's. Anything else in this area? Oh, a bunch of Macy's, huh? All right. Ah, there's a Blue Mercury, a different store. So anyhow, there's a Bloomingdale's. Anyhow, the point here is that this information is available as data, as you saw before, that is available and able to be shared, not just inside Sabre, but to everybody, sharing those pandemic best practices, as illustrated as we saw earlier. So what do you do now? Got two things to recommend. One is that as the Earthquake Clearinghouse, you need to look at this huge project that Sabre is engaged in with 250,000 food stores, convenience stores, bodegas, and all the rest of it. You need to look at that as an example of what an Earthquake Clearinghouse tries to do. You get a report there's an emergency. You say, gee, what should I go look at? And there are models that give you an idea of the shaking. You're getting shaking reports in from USGS. And as a scientist, you say, maybe I should go over here and look on this block. Clearinghouses are directing scientists and engineers to the appropriate places. Well, these 250,000 locations across the country, which hopefully throughout the COVID pandemic, we are going to get them thoroughly embracing Sabre. Think of those 250,000 locations as human sensors who can give you a leg up so that you've got models, yes, you've got shaking forecasts, yes. Now you've got reports coming in from people who are taking a picture of their convenience store saying, this is what it looks like right here. And that can help direct the limited resources of a clearinghouse to get the scientists and engineers to the right places at the right time to capture the information as it's valuable and necessary. That's the first thing you need to remember. Second thing is, you can use this data now. You may not all be clearinghouse people. You may be other forms of emergency management. Become a Sabre member on saberspace.org. You are able to get that coronavirus information, put it into your own software. You're able to get the Spot on Response app that's been designed for coronavirus, as well as, let's get together and get your Earthquake Clearinghouse part of the network that was once California and is now national. Jim at saberspace.com will get you to me, and all that's available at no cost to you. Thanks for joining today.